Hi folks, Joey Ricard with TracksideScenery.com. Welcome back to the channel and to beautiful downtown Strasburg, Virginia. It's shaping up to be a great day and we're going to jump right in with update number 2. In this video, we're going to move forward with the construction of our upper deck framing and add some much needed lighting for our lower deck. Alright, now if you saw the last video, you'll know we're building a shelf-style double-deck layout with provisions for a continuous run and staging. If you haven't seen that video, now's a good time to get caught up. Go ahead, push pause, we'll wait for you. Alright boys, here we go. Our lower deck framing is constructed with 1x4 pine boards, and we're going to use the same materials for the upper deck. The upper deck framing is going to be somewhat different from the lower deck simply because the lower deck also housed our helices. I started by building a rectangular box that would act as a center section. Now for this illustration, I'm not showing the horizontal supports inside that box, but you can see where we're going. I worked my way around the layout keeping the same basic shape as the lower deck, so basically I'm building a frame around the layout. Now I'm showing this as I planned it, but for the actual construction I completed one section at a time with vertical supports. You'll see these up close here in a few minutes. Here's what it looks like all put together. Most of that foam board you see on the top deck is just sitting there temporarily. The pine boards were all fastened with Kreg screw construction. I like this method because it allows me to change the pieces with minimal damage to the boards. Now in this area you can see where we have a planned river feature with bridges. Once we know exactly where we want the contours to be, we can cut and rearrange the boards to suit. Yeah, putting this whole thing on wheels was a no-brainer. It's going to make my life easy. A shelf layout on wheels! Boy, that sounds stupid, but it works. Now remember that track and foam board up top is just sitting there until I figure out what I want to do. I'm not done planning yet. We covered Kreg screw construction in greater detail a few videos back when we were working on another project. If you're not familiar with Kreg screws, you can Google it to find out more or refer back to an earlier video. I'll put a link in the description. As I walk around, you'll see that I can leave some areas open and in other areas we can add a fascia. Some areas will need to be left open for operations such as coupling and uncoupling, that sort of thing. But either way, it'll all have a nice finish and appearance. I mentioned a stream and bridge feature, and that's going to be located over in this area. And of course, as with anything I do, nothing's written in stone, but I'm using these bridges to kind of give me an idea of what I want to do and where I want them to be. Of course, the base of the stream, or the stream bottom, will need to be on its own level, leaving enough clearance below. Once I knew the height I wanted, I created a stream deck and risers to hold it up. These risers, or pylons as I call them, are made from blue insulation foam and wrapped in cardstock. Now I didn't have to do that, but it gives it a much nicer look than that of the blue blocks. Once I'm ready to move forward, I can cut the frame boards to the contour I want and then reinforce the area. Alright, for this video that's the bench work, a heavy subject. Perhaps we'll move on to a lighter subject. Oh, come on, where's your sense of humor? I know, layout lighting is always an interesting subject, but it takes on a new meaning when you're trying to illuminate a small space. Lots of considerations have to be made. It's for this very reason I chose LED rope lighting. In this case, duh, it's another no-brainer. I have very little space and run-of-the-mill fixtures just didn't fit the bill. We have a whole bunch of this stuff lining our retail print shop display windows, and it's very easy to work with. I simply fed it underneath the upper frame and temporarily zip-tied it in place. I even had enough to add some light to the inside of the helices. Once I have the upper deck finished and ready, I can go back and make adjustments to the light rope and permanently mount it in place. Again, for now, it's just temporarily in place. If you're not familiar with it, rope light can be purchased through many online outlets. It's available in pre-cut sections or in rolls. Adapters and connectors are available to suit. I know you can't see it from here, but the end connector is your standard household plug. I simply ran it through from one side of the layout to the other in one section. It's a great way to let there be light. Alright, we talked about the Kreg screw construction of the framework, and here's an example of why it's nice to be able to remove and adjust the frame supports. You see, typically with a fixed support design, one would have to plan the track work around what's underneath. With this method, the Kreg screw method, I can plan in all of my heart's desires, and if a support is in the way, I'll simply move it over. Sure, you can plan all of this ahead of time and not have to worry about it, but I like to be able to make changes if needed. So as you can see under here, all of these horizontal frame supports can be moved left and right as needed. Once the turnouts and switch machines are in place, I can fasten everything in for the long term. But make no mistake about it, I can move them if I want to. Be sure to subscribe, stay tuned, and share. This is Joey Ricard with TracksideScenery.com. Thanks for watching. See you next time.